Hey, welcome everybody joining us in game number, what is it, 92 in our 1979 Mets replay. Mets in our replay have 28 wins. In reality, they have 39 wins. We've been in a terrible slump, and there's not much more you can say about it. I'm using Payoff pitch. We are in the bottom of the fourth inning. It's Doc Ellis on the mound for the Mets. Doc Ellis had issues throughout his career with drugs. He claims that he was high on acid in his, I believe it was a no-hitter in 1971 playoffs, World Series. Anyway, the sports writers at the time disbelieve it. So, anyway, that said, he's on the mound for the Mets. He plays with the Mets. And we are in the bottom of the fourth. It's a 4-1 score. Dodgers are up. The Dodgers scored 3 runs in the first inning. And I'll click here and it'll tell me how exactly it happened. It was Steve Garvey hits a line drive for a single. Ron Sayes walked after 2 outs. Dusty Baker comes up and drives the ball for a single, scoring Garvey. Then Joe Ferguson clears the bases with a line drive double, scoring Say and Dusty Baker. Though that was the big inning for the Dodgers. Later in the second, the Dodgers score again with Charlie Huff singles, and then Davey Lopes grounds out on the throw to first baseman, moving, basically it's a 3-1 put out, first baseman to the pitcher, and that moved Huff over to second. Bill Russell hits a medium line drive for a single, and that scored Huff with 2 outs. I believe there was 2 outs at that point, yes. So both times the Dodgers have scored. Now the Dodgers have a heck of a lineup. Lopes leading off, Bill Russell batting second, Garvey in the third spot, Say batting fourth, Dusty Baker in left field, Joe Ferguson in right, Darryl Thomas is center fielder, Steve Yeager, who's up right now, the catcher, and Charlie Huff is the pitcher, who had 14 starts. Known to me mostly for his relief work in the late 70s, but during 79 he happens to start for the Dodgers as well. Alright, so let's get going. We're using dice and using cards as well. Now, my iPad's charging, and I left my speed charger at work, so I'm using a little bit of a slower charger. We're going to start rolling. It's Steve Yeager facing Doc Ellis. Here's the pitch. Yeager's 0 for 1. That's 66. That's going to be in play 93, and that's going to be a fly ball to left field, and Henderson to his left. And a couple of steps in, makes the catch. 1 away. Charlie Huff now. Huff is 1 for 1. He's a pitcher hitting card 5. And that's a 6 off Ellis. It's a tough pitch. A tough pitch 0-8 is a strikeout. So Huff down on strikes. And there's a little bit of glare going on there. Let me see if I can fix that. There it is. And hope that's not too dark. Let's see if I can. Hold on. Yeah, it's gonna give me glare no matter what. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so it was a 6, tough, 85. Davey Lopes the batter, a tough 85 is going to be a ground ball shortstop, and that's going to retire the side. 1, 2, 3 for Doc Ellis. We are in Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium is a friendly hitter's park, 1 to 81 for right-handers and 1 to 73 for left-handers. So you want to hit in Dodger Stadium. Joe Youngblood, who's 0 for 1, is leading it off. He's grounded out and walked. We are in the top of the 5th. It's a 4-1 Dodger lead. And that's a 9 in play 54. And that's going to be a hard hit grounder to Say. Say up with it, fires the first. And Youngblood's retired, one away. Frank Taveras. It's a 9 in play 13. That's going to be a ball grounded up the middle and through for a single for Taveras. Taveras, I believe that's his second hit of the day, and nobody's running against Yeager with a 2-arm, especially in a game where we're down by 3 runs. That's a 9 in play 19. I'm going to pull a card for that, and that's going to tell us line drive to center field, runners advance 2 bases. So Darryl Thomas plays it in on a hop, and hustling to third is Taveras, the speedy Taveras. First and third now, and it's going to be Steve Henderson. He's 0 for 2. He's struck out and flied out. Here's the pitch. It's a 10, a tough 20 against a righty. That's a strikeout. So the curveball gets Henderson, and that's 2 outs. And it's Richie Hebner. Richie Hebner, the highest paid player on the Mets at $200,000 in 1979. And that's a 10, tough again, a tough 41. You may get lucky on that. It's going to be a grounder up the middle through, and runner on second. Anybody on second or beyond scores, so it's 4-2. And hustling over to third is Lee Mazzilli. RBI single for Richie Hebner. Runners on first and third now. There's action in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Somebody's getting up, and I see some windmilling of the arms. Here's John Stearns. He's 0 for 2. He's struck out and grounded out. Here's the pitch from Huff. 8. That's in play, an in play 37. That's going to be in the out range. It's popped up right side. Lopes calling for it, and he makes the catch. That retires the side, but not before the Mets pick up a run, and they inch just a bit closer to the Dodgers, who are up 4-2. In the bottom of the 5th now, it's going to be Russell, Garvey, and Say. Russell's 1 for 2. Here's the pitch to Russell. There's also action in the Mets bullpen at this point. That's a tough 92. Tough 92 is a fly ball lifted to left. Steve Henderson is there. Steve Garvey, the batter, 1 away. 6, tough 20. A tough 20 is a strikeout. Garvey is fooled. Swings at a curve in the dirt. Ron Say, 2 outs. That's a 9. It's a range play, 83. That's beyond range, so that's going to be an out. And the right fielder hustling down the line makes a beautiful running catch. Elliot Maddox had that all the way, but had to hustle to get it. And that's out number 3. And after the nice play by Elliot Maddox, he leads off here against Charlie Huff. Both pitchers can go 7 if they haven't without switching cards, if they haven't allowed more than 3 runs. Now Ellis has, so next inning Ellis is going to switch to a fatigue card if I'm going to leave him in. Otherwise I got to switch him. That's a 9. That's in play. A in play 99. That's going to be popped up. And the third baseman, he's calling for it, and Say puts it away for out number 1. Doug Flynn. It's a 5. Ballpark 53, right-handed batter. That's going to be Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse 1-32, and it's a hit, and we roll a 12. And that ball is lined base hit to left field. Dusty Baker gets it in on a hop, and that's the second hit of the day for Doug Flynn. Not known for his hitting prowess, more of a fielding second baseman. The Mets are going to bring in a pinch hitter, and it's going to be Bruce Boclair. Does a lot of pinch hitting for the Mets. Bruce Boclair, and we tap on the batter. We look for Boclair. Tap on Boclair. Ask me, include him as a defensive sub? No. And save. I can always change my mind, but I don't want to say yes, because then he's going to be in the field. He's going to be the pitcher. So the pitcher, in this case, remains the pitcher until I change him. It's just how the app works. All right, so Bruce Boclair, he's a lefty batter. He batted 184 against righties, but you don't know that. So I just play who they played. 7, tough. A tough 58. Tough 58 is going to be a strikeout. So Boclair strikes out for out number 2. And it's Joe Youngblood now. There's the pitch to Youngblood. That's an 8. That's in play. And in play 99. That's popped up. Ron Say in foul territory towards the stands makes the catch, and that retires the side. It's going to have a new pitcher. We're going to take a quick peek and see who exactly it was who pitched on this day for the Mets. It's not going to be Doc Ellis anymore. And we're going to click on this. Now, the Mets have 28 wins in the replay and 39 in reality, so we're really struggling here. I think we've lost about 10 in a row. This is a 2-game set versus the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. And for the Mets in this game, which they lose, Wayne Twitchell is going to come in. He pitched in this game. I'm going to add the, I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. Let's see if I can get a little bit of, there you go, a little bit of light there to help me a little bit. That's better. Okay. A lot better for me. All right, so it's Wayne Twitchell. We're going to put him in by hitting on the pitcher spot. I have the roster here. Now I look for Twitchell. There he is, W. Twitchell. Adam save. And he's in there. Now I have to put him in the batter spot. Didn't give me that option. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why. So I'm going to click on Twitchell. And I'm going to click on offense. I'm going to click on the spot I want him in, 9. It moves me to Boclair because it's telling me, hey, Boclair's in that spot. So then I got to find Twitchell. Oh, there he is on top. I highlight Twitchell, I press save, and now Twitchell, you can double check it. It's in the upper left-hand corner. Twitchell is batting. That's how that works. Okay, Dusty Baker, who's 1 for 1, a single and a walk. Here's the pitch from Twitchell. That's an 8. Patient 0-8. That's going to be a ball 4. So Baker, and Baker has a 10, can run. He had 11 stolen bases, and that's a 3. He does go. So that's a C3. I believe that's normal, but I'll double check depending on what the card says. Oh, normal's out. I know it's not very good. So Stearns throws out Dusty Baker. And with Ferguson, a righty batting next, it's going to be 2-4. Out, caught stealing. 2-4, the second baseman, Flynn, covering. 1 away. Joe Ferguson. That's a 9. Tough, a tough 14. That's a strikeout. The high heat gets Ferguson. And it's Darryl Thomas. He's 0 for 2. Struck out and flied out. We are in the bottom of the 6th. It's 4-2 Dodgers. That's 9. Tough, a tough 96. It's going to be a skied to left. Henderson in. He's there. Retires aside. So Twitchell handles the Dodgers easily in the bottom of the 6th. And we go to the top of the 7th. It's going to be Charlie Huff. Actually, now he's got to be a fatigue. If I'm going to keep him in, which I don't necessarily have to, in this game, it was Patterson who came in. Let's see if I have Patterson. Now, one thing I love about Payoff Pitch is the amount of cards that you get. So I won't be surprised if I have Patterson in this set. Now, there are times where I think throughout the whole replay, I've had one time that I didn't have the card, and I think that's with the Mets because the guy has 7 at bats. See, Dave Patterson, he's there. That's the beauty of this set. You got to get at least one to try it out. You got to see the quality, okay, of these cards. I mean, Joe Bryan goes above and beyond. He's got a great website. He's got great customer service. It's just a great, smooth, chartless system. If you get the cards, the fast action cards, basically you don't have to pull up charts and go through all that. Just the card tells you what happens next. So he's devised a great mechanic, very fluid, very smooth. And once you learn a couple of the little quirky things, that's it. It's done. And then you establish your own house rules to make everything fair, and you know, it is what it is. All right, so it's Frank Tavares, steps in the box, and we're gonna get Patterson to come in. Now Dave Patterson is in there, so we're gonna. This is again. I'm gonna show you how to do this. You can see it on the screen. So I hit Charlie Huff. Now, what if I don't have? I don't know if Patterson has ever. We've played the Dodgers before a couple of times, but I have not used Patterson. So what do? He's not on the roster. Well, I'm going to add him. Add sub, and I'm going to click on that. Dave, D-A-V-E. He's a righty, so I don't have to do anything. Patterson. Okay, double check. I got the spelling right. Yep, 2 T's. And that's it. Dave Patterson, he's there now, so he's at the bottom, so I'm going to highlight him. It asked me include offensive sub. Yes, he's going to bat in place of the pitcher. See, sometimes that comes up, sometimes it doesn't. And it's Frankie Tavares in the box. He's 3 for 3 today, 3 singles. That's a 10. That's patient, a patient 60. And that's outside of hit range. And that's lifted to right, Joe Ferguson. Waits for it, 1 away. Now we want to see what Mazzilli's batting. Just click on his name. Right? Click on Mazzilli's name. And you get his batting average is 330. Had 115 hits and 349 at bats. He's got 9 home runs and 39 RBIs. A pretty good season for the Mets. He was their best hitter. He batted 300 for them. Lee Mazzilli. Fan favorite in New York. Here's the pitch to Mazzilli from Dave Patterson, 8. That's in play 49. In play 49. That takes us to the out range, and that's popped up. Left side. Shortstop. That's Russell. Makes the catch, 2 away, and it's Steve Henderson. It's the top of the 7th, 4-2 Dodgers. 8, again, 3 times we rolled 8. In play, 61, but then we've rolled high each time. In play 61, that's a fly ball, deep right field. Back goes Ferguson to the track, and that retires aside. So, 3 up, 3 down for the Mets. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Wayne Twitchell is in there for the Mets. Now, I've adjusted my coaching technique in that I allow pitchers to go longer than I did originally. Throughout the first part of the season, I think I started looking at the data, and my pitchers were all reaching their max of pitching, and it was just simply because I'm used to modern games where you change pitchers a lot. Like Twitchell will come in, and he'll stay in there for at least 2 to 3 innings. I mean, guys don't get pulled after each batter, or you don't do lefty-righty switches or any of that, really, to the extent that it's done today. Anyway, Wayne Twitchell looks in for the sign. Steve Yeager, 7. A patient 10. That's a base on balls. So Yeager walks. Now it's Patterson, and we're going to get Patterson to bunt. He's a C bunter, so we're going to pull a card for that. And it tells us what happens. You look under bunt, a C, it's a sacrifice hit to the first baseman. First baseman tags Patterson. Moving over to second is Yeager, 1 out. So how do you pull that off? You hit out. You go to sacrifice bunt. You go to 3, and then it's going to ask you what happens to the runner. That's by batter. All right, and then you read here, Dave Patterson lays down a sacrifice bunt. Boom, so he doesn't get an at bat. All right, Davey Lopes. Here's the pitch from Twitchell, 9. A tough 15. That's going to be a strikeout. Lopes goes after the high cheese, and Steve Yeager is on at second, takes his lead. Bill Russell steps into the box. Wayne Twitchell looks in for the sign. Here's the pitch. That's double 2s. That's a 4. Patient 29. Patient 29. Uh-oh, that's trouble. On Bill Russell's card, that's a single. We're going to look here. Ball blooped into right field. Runner on second scores. RBI single. It's 5-2 now. And Bill Russell is on with a clutch 2-out single. He holds up at first. And next is Steve Garvey. Now, Steve Garvey's 1 for 3. Steve Garvey had a pretty decent season. 309 against righties, 331 versus lefties. Here's the pitch to Garvey. It's an 11. Defense, 0-2. That's an automatic error. All I do is pull the card. It's going to tell me E5. Now, is it a one-base error or a two-base error? I'm going to look at error. It's a drop foul ball. Okay, so now I'm glad they came up because that's a tricky one. And I'm trying to remember how to do this. I believe it's in miscellaneous. So you want to basically give, oh, it's Youngblood. I'm sorry. It's Youngblood at third base. That's right. Hebner's playing first base. He usually plays at third base, but he's playing. All right, good. So it didn't matter because of the roll, 0-2. It's an automatic error. So how do you give Youngblood an error? You got to go to miscellaneous, I believe, and it says assign error. So I'm going to assign error to 5, okay? And Steve Garvey's still batting. Otherwise, you would normally go to in play, assign the error, and then there'd be a runner on first, and so on and so forth. That's the only time it's a little bit quirky there, and you got to remember to go to miscellaneous on that. 7, patient, 80. And that's going to be way out of range, and that's going to be a ground ball to short. Tavares goes to short way to Flynn, 6-4, fielder's choice, side. Retired. Now, that's another little quirk that when there's a fielder's choice, if there's 2 outs, you don't have to worry about it. But if there's fewer than 2 outs, you got to go to in play, not to out. Because in play is where you have the fielder's choice. Okay, that's another little thing that you got to learn. Instead of out on a fielder's choice with fewer than 2 outs, you got to go to in play, and then it's gonna you click fielder's choice, and you're gonna make the play 6-4, let's say, and then it's gonna ask you, well, what happened to the runner at first, and then you're gonna have to write out at second. Okay. So anyway, it's Richie Hebner. Now this keeps track, no matter what I do or how distracted I get, or this keeps track of what's going. I know that Patterson is on the mound. I know that Hebner is at bat. You know, sometimes we forget to flip the cards or whatever. This kind of keeps me on track, so I really like it. It's my monitor almost. It's my supervisor that's keeping me on track so I don't go off on tangents. Dave Patterson is on the mound, and it's Richie Hebner. The score is 5-2 Dodgers. It's the top of the 8th. We're replaying the 1979 Mets baseball season using Payoff pitch. And that's an 8. In play, 65. And that's pretty high, and it's going to be in the out range. Big ground ball to Russell. Russell fires the first, and Richie Hebner is out. John Stearns, who's 0 for 3. That's a 5. That's patient. Patient 79. That's way out of range. That's a fly ball to center field. And Darryl Thomas, center fielder for the Dodgers, under it, makes the catch, and it's Elliot Maddox. He's 1 for 3. He doubled in his first at bat. That's a 4 ballpark, a 65. That falls within ballpark here. Righty. Maddox is a righty, 1/81. So we're looking at Maddox's wheelhouse. And let's do a close-up of the card. 1-8 would be a home run. So we're going to roll the 2d10. 2d10. There it goes, and that's a 62. It goes up to 40, so that's going to be an out. And let's see. That's going to be popped up. Popped up to the right side. Garvey is calling for it. And he makes the catch in foul ground, and that retires the side. Twitchell still on the mound for the Mets. This is his 3rd inning. Excuse me. Ronce, the batter, he's 0 for 2. He's walked, struck out, and flied out. 7. They call him the Penguin. Remember that. 7. Patient 94. Patient 94. That's outside of range, although he has a high range in that area. 70 goes up to 76. And that's a fly ball to left. Henderson is there. 1 away. Dusty Baker. Baker's 1 for 1. He's singled and he walked twice. That's a 9. That's a tough 0-6, and that's going to be a strikeout. Baker down swinging. And it's Joe Ferguson, who's got that big 2-run double in the bottom of the first inning. He's 1 for 3 on the day. That's ballpark. Ballpark 92. So that's outside of, He's a righty, goes up to 81, so it's going to be in play. We're going to roll 2d10 for in play, and that's going to be an 85. That's going to be out as well. It's going to be a fly ball to left. Again, Henderson's getting a lot of action out there, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down for Twitchell. Done a heck of a job. Now Twitchell, not that great a pitcher. He was 5-3 with a 5.23 ERA. Started 2 games, relieved in 33, or in 31 rather, I believe. All right, Dave Patterson. Now I don't know that this was a close game in reality. The actual score of this game was 4-3, and it was LeGros who came in for the win. And we're going to let Patterson go because I mean he's done a good job. So why switch him, right? Okay. So Doug Flynn is going to lead it off. We're not going to pull him. He's got 2 hits today. Maybe he can get his third. 8. That's in play. 78. Definitely not. And that's going to be a fly ball center field, shallow center field. Running in is Thomas. Makes the catch. Now the pitcher spot. Boclair was the last pinch hitter. And Kranepool played in this game. We're going to bring in old reliable Eddie Kranepool from the Bronx. Born and raised in Bronx, New York, plays with the Mets his whole career. So he's a fan favorite, a little bit of an icon, neighborhood boy. And he's an automatic. I actually, after his last name, I wrote in pinch hitter PH, so that's what he's called. Asked me if he's going to play defense. There probably won't be any more defense. Ed Kranepool is on at first. Is at the plate. There's 1 out. We're in the top half of the 9th inning. It's 5-2 Dodgers. The Mets are 2 outs away from losing their 10th, 11th in a row. I can't keep track. I got to double check that. But it's not something I look forward to looking at all the time. Patterson on the mound. Dave Patterson. This is his 3rd inning of work. And here's the pitch. That's wheelhouse. A wheelhouse 38. And that's right outside of hit range. And that's going to be a ground ball to Garvey. Takes it himself. And he retires Kranepool. There's 2 outs now. And it's Joe Youngblood. Youngblood's 0 for 3. He's grounded out, walked, grounded out, flied out. It's a pitch from Patterson. That's a 10. That's patient. A patient 26. And that's a base on balls. So Youngblood works the count and manages a walk. Taveras, 3 for 4. That's a 6. That's tough. A tough 27. And he swings through it. Game over. The Dodgers win it by a score of 5-2. The Mets, 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 error, 9 left on base. The Dodgers, 5 runs, 7 hits, no errors, 4 left on base. We exit out. We confirm. And now we're going to go and input the winning pitcher was Charlie Huff. The losing pitcher was Doc Ellis. And that's all she wrote. And we're going to set up another game now, game 2. It's a 2-game set here in Dodger Stadium. And I'm looking, my charger is not really, I think my light is too bright. That's it. Okay, my light's so bright that the charger is not charging the, and it's just a very slow charger. This is like the one I avoid the most. I have a very quick one, a strong one, but I took it in my bag to work and I left my bag at work. So anyway, let me just brighten it just a little bit more so in case so you can see what I'm doing here to, I hope you can see that. Let me move it over just a little tad bit there. Okay. Now to create a game, right, you go in the upper right-hand corner. Upper right-hand corner here. And you put in, so I back up, and it says add game on top. And the visitor is going to be the Mets. Find them. Dodgers are the home team. Dodgers. There it is. Add them. And then I put in done. And then it gives me the game, and I hit the arrow. And the arrow says score game on top. And I say I'm going to score the game. And it gives me the lineups. So I can adjust the lineups. Now I'm going to pull up the almanac. I've been using that lately. I like the font better. It's more like old style baseball than Baseball Reference. And I'm going to look at this game, and I'll tell you the starting pitchers were Pete Falcone versus Jerry Royce. So it's going to be Royce. So Hooten is out. That's the one I have a go-to, a generic lineup. So we're going to put in Jerry Royce, who I know has pitched against the Mets in the past. We've played here before. And he's batting, so I add that. So now he's ninth batter. And I got to see if there's any changes in the lineup. So in my IScore lineup, I have Davey Lopes, Russell, Garvey, Say, Garvey, Say, Baker. Baker's in there, okay. Baker, Ferguson, and Thomas. Okay, I got to make those adjustments. Joe Ferguson, Baker, Ferguson is playing right field, and he's batting. And the guy who's out is Reggie Smith. I haven't seen him play in a while. I think he's injured, so he's not in this game. So it's Lopes, Russell, Garvey, Say. Baker is fifth. Ferguson, Thomas, Yeager, and Royce. Ferguson, Thomas, Yeager, and Royce. Done. Okay? Saves a lot of time. Then I go to the Mets. Now the Mets, it's Taveras, Maddox, and Mazzilli. There's going to be a change there. So Maddox is batting second, and he's probably going to play... Yeah, there's no Youngblood in this game. Third baseman's going to be... Oh, Maddox is playing third. That's interesting. Maddox is playing third. Taveras is leading off, so I'm going to slide that up. Get rid of Youngblood, who's not playing in this game. So I'm going to pull him down out of the lineup. And it's going to be Taveras, Maddox, Mazzilli, and Henderson. Henderson's down here. I'm going to put him in the fourth spot. Stearns, Montanez, and Norman. All right, we got a new player. Stearns, Montanez, and Hebner is not in this game either. Hebner doesn't play in this game. So both Hebner and Youngblood are out of this game. And I'm going to bring in Dan Norman, and I'll show you how I create that. So I get there. I have to take him away off of third base, which he normally plays. And Montanez, Flynn. Now let's see if I ever used Norman before. I doubt it. I don't think he's ever been with the team. This is the first time Norman makes his appearance, so this is exciting. All right, so then what do we do here? Right on the top left-hand corner says add player. So we're going to add, create new player, Dan, I believe that's his name, Norman, and I believe he's a lefty, but I'm not sure, but I'll pull his card. Let me look at his card here. That should have his card in this section here of extra additional players I have on the side. There he is, Dan Norman. He's a righty, so I was wrong. Okay. So he's a righty, not a lefty. And he's going to play right field because Maddox is playing third. He's going to be in right field. And that's it, Dan Norman. So now I got to scoot him up. He's all the way at the bottom. The last guy I created. I bring him all the way up to the seventh spot, excuse me. He's playing right field. That's what we decided. Flynn and Falcone. Now Swan is in there. That's my generic lineup. So I'm taking Swan out. I'm going to find Falcone. Pete Falcone. Slide him up. And we're ready to roll, guys. That's how simple it is. Now, I'm going to save this lineup. And one way that you save it, go to options. And you say copy lineup. This lineup will stay that way. I don't know if I may... What happens is that when you start the season with a lineup, there's 2 or 3 players that later, when you start meeting this team again in the middle of the season, are not there anymore. And they've replaced them with 2 other players that play every day. So you want to copy that lineup so the next game it doesn't revert back to those original players in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, where those players that may have been traded or now are injured and aren't there anymore. It'll keep reverting to that. Now what happens is tomorrow when I play them again, if I played them again tomorrow, it would remember this lineup, one that's closer to reality, even though I can tell you right now that in tomorrow's lineup, Youngblood will probably be in there. So then I'll have to bring Youngblood in. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. I don't do it all that often until I know, like for example, at the beginning of the year, right? I had Tim Foley as my shortstop. After that, there was a trade early on, and Frank Taveras came in, so I got rid of Foley because I know he's not going to be on my lineup anymore for the rest of the year. So he's down here as a player having played with the team at some point, but I'll never use him again because I'm using the actual lineups from the season. So I hope I explained that properly. And that's it. That's all we have to do. So I just do a quick double check, make sure everybody, and then I can even look at the field now, and it'll correct me if I left anybody out of a position, or if there's two guys playing the same position, it tells me. And everything looks to be okay, and everything is good. So I got the field. It's the Mets are batting. Jerry Royce is on the mound for the Dodgers, and Pete Falcone will be on the mound, and I'm going to press play. And that's it. So it brings everything up, and this is where it'll give me the script of play-by-play. And it's Frankie Taveras at bat. And I'm not going to play this right now. It's already 11:15. But I just wanted to show you how I did that, and this is long enough. So this is Combat Painter signing off. Final score of the game that we played was Dodgers 5, Mets 2. And Mets are still struggling. Lost, I think, 10 or 11 in a row. Have to double-check that. Can't be looking at that all the time. So anyway, I'll set this up when I'm ready. And that's it. I'm going to sign out. It's Combat Painter saying so long. I'll check you guys out in all your games as well. Take care.